Austin city leaders are pushing back on state intervention after state crews cleared nearly 50 homeless camps in Austin. City leaders told KVU's Daniel Perot they were left in the dark about the state's plans.
At 2:17 a.m., the air under a Texas overpass doesn't feel like the warm South people imagine. It feels like concrete that never truly rests. A woman sits in the driver's seat of an old car, engine off to save fuel. She keeps one hand on the steering, like it's a lifeline. In the back seat, two small kids are curled up, breathing softly. Their backpacks are stacked like a wall between them and the window, not for comfort, just for a sense of safety. She whispers into the dark, almost like a prayer. Please just let them sleep tonight. A few miles away, the skyline of downtown glows with glass and money. Bars are still open. Rideshares still move. LED billboards still flash like the city is celebrating something. And yet, right here, right now, a mother is trying to turn a car into a home. This is Texas in 2025. A state famous for big dreams and bigger confidence. A state that tells the world, if you work hard, you'll make it. But tonight, tens of thousands of Texans are sleeping outside, under bridges and cars and tents pushed behind shopping centers, along highways that never stop rolling. Not because they want to, because the ladder got pulled up while they were still climbing. Welcome to U.S. Homeless Secrets. U.S. Homeless Secrets is where hidden stories are told plainly and respectfully. We do not shame people. We do not exploit pain. We do not show graphic scenes. We do not encourage harm. We stay within YouTube's policies by focusing on human reality, public safety, and solutions that protect dignity. Names and identifying details are changed for safety. Some stories are composites based on recurring patterns described by outreach workers, public reports, and community organizations. Today we're going deep into Texas, from Houston to Dallas, from Austin to San Antonio, and beyond, where prosperity and homelessness live on the same block, and where the American dream can feel like it shines brightest right next to the darkest shadows. And we're holding one question at the center of everything. How can a state this wealthy still leave so many people without a place to sleep? Part 1. A crisis in plain sight. Texas doesn't hide its pride. It puts it on flags, stadiums, highways, and skylines. Opportunity, growth, jobs, innovation. But in 2025, the homelessness crisis is no longer something you can pretend is somewhere else. It's visible in the places people used to assume were untouchable. Booming downtown districts, expanding suburbs, high-growth tech corridors, and tourist zones. Recent counts and statewide estimates put the number of Texans without stable housing in the tens of thousands, with many sleeping outdoors on any given night. That means real human beings living through extreme heat, sudden storms, and long nights with nowhere private to be. In Houston, you can stand near a busy overpass and hear the city in two layers at once. Above you, engines speed commerce. Below you, quiet survival. A cluster of tents tucked into the shadows. A shopping cart parked like a fence. A few people awake because sleep outside is never fully safe. And when camps are cleared, homelessness doesn't end. It moves. It fragments. It reappears. Because clearing a camp doesn't create housing. It only creates distance, often pushing people farther from clinics, food distribution, outreach teams, and public transit. Now meet Maria. Maria is 34, a single mother with two young children. She once worked steady hours, the kind of job that doesn't make headlines but holds a city together. Then layoffs came. Paycheck stopped. Rent didn't. 3 months is all it took. Now Maria calls her old car a mobile apartment because she refuses to let her kids hear the word homeless like it's a life sentence. At night she tells them stories about a house in the clouds, where the kitchen is warm, where the bathroom door locks, where they can keep their shoes in the same place and wake up without fear of someone knocking on the window. She doesn't want pity. She wants a chance to start over. And Maria is not rare. Across Texas, thousands of people are living one crisis away from the edge, and many have already fallen off it. So if Texas is the land of opportunity, why are so many people sleeping outside? That answer starts with what Texas has been avoiding for a long time. Part 2. The roots of the struggle. Homelessness is not usually one mistake. It's usually a chain. And in Texas, the chain tightens fast. The first link is housing cost. Texas used to be known as affordable compared to other states. But in many cities, that old story has expired. Rents rise. Home prices rise. Fees rise. And for people living paycheck to paycheck, rising doesn't feel like a trend. It feels like the floor moving upward until you can't breathe. The second link is wages that don't keep pace. When housing climbs but wages stall, stability becomes fragile. You can be working and still be losing. You can be doing everything right and still fall behind. The third link is the brutal math of one emergency. A medical bill, a car breakdown, a week without childcare, a storm that damages your roof, a slow season at work, a sudden layoff. For people without savings, one hit becomes a collapse. And in Texas, weather disasters can turn a fragile situation into homelessness quickly. When extreme storms hit certain communities, families can lose housing fast, and recovery isn't equal. People with insurance and savings rebuild. People without them get pushed out and never catch up. Maria describes it like this. It wasn't one big explosion. It was like a slow leak. And then one day I woke up and everything was gone. The fourth link is the shortage of truly affordable units. Even when programs exist, vouchers, rental assistance, transitional housing, people still have to find actual apartments they can afford. A voucher doesn't automatically create a unit. And when supply is tight, people wait and wait and wait. The fifth link is the pressure on families. When parents are stressed and unstable, kids absorb it. They may not say it out loud, but they feel it in every move, every motel night, every we can't go back there anymore. Homelessness is not just losing the roof. It's losing routine, losing privacy, losing control over your own life. And in Texas, the gap between the dream and the reality can be only a few paychecks wide. So the crisis is visible. The causes are layered. But the way cities respond makes the difference between healing and pushing people deeper into the shadows. Part 3. 3 cities, 3 paths, urban struggles, and small victories. Texas is not one story. It's many stories living under one flag. And when it comes to homelessness, 3 major paths show up again and again. The path of organized support, the path of enforcement-first policy, and the path of good ideas that collapse before they can grow. In Austin, there are signs of light breaking through. Austin has invested in coordinated models that focus on navigation, helping people connect to IDs, healthcare, case management, and permanent housing pathways. The philosophy behind Housing First has shaped many programs across the country. Don't demand people become perfect before offering stability. Offer stability so people can rebuild. When people get housed quickly, something changes. Sleep returns. Medication gets stored safely. Appointments get kept. Job searches become realistic. Recovery becomes possible. Austin's progress shows a hard truth. Compassion isn't only kind. It's effective. Now contrast that with Houston. Houston's approach has often leaned more toward order in public spaces. Restrictions on resting in certain areas, pressure to clear sidewalks, emphasis on removal. But removal without housing doesn't solve homelessness. It relocates it. Sarah, whose story is a composite based on many women we hear about, used to teach elementary school. She didn't imagine she'd ever be on the street. When her job ended and her life unraveled, she needed rest, safety, and a pathway back. Instead, she felt punished for existing in public. "I don't need pity," she said. "I need a place to sleep without being treated like I'm a problem." Then there's Dallas, where innovative ideas have emerged, including programs meant to redirect people away from citations and towards services. But these programs often face the same enemy: instability, funding gaps, mistrust, bureaucracy, political shifts. When a city launches something compassionate but doesn't sustain it, the people who were counting on that lifeline fall back into the same loop: tickets, court dates, displacement, loss. Texas cities are standing at a crossroads. Because homelessness is not just a housing problem. It's a choice problem. Do we treat people as neighbors in crisis? Or do we treat them as something to sweep away? And the answer becomes painfully clear when we look at the safety net, because in many parts of Texas, it isn't a net anymore. It's a thread. Part 4. A safety net in tatters. In a state with massive economic power, people assume services must be strong. But people living this reality will tell you something different. They'll tell you the doors are closed, or the lists are too long, or the requirements don't match the reality of someone who is living in survival mode. Mental health services are one of the sharpest gaps. Many people experiencing homelessness have trauma, sometimes lifelong trauma, sometimes new trauma from being outside. But access to consistent care is limited, and if you can't access care, your ability to stay stable collapses. Now meet another Sarah, this time a composite based on people who describe the same pattern. Sarah was an accountant, responsible, organized, the kind of person who always paid on time, until depression and stress swallowed her energy. She tried to get help. She was told, get on the list. She waited. She got worse. She missed work. She lost her job, then her apartment, and finally, she lost the belief that anyone would catch her. Now she sleeps under a bridge and describes the wind like it's whispering something cruel. You didn't matter enough to save. Job programs can be complicated too. People are told to bring paperwork they don't have, to show an address they don't have, to hold a schedule while living a life that's constantly being interrupted by survival. No home means no job. No job means no home. And while the system debates timelines, people are living the consequences in real time. Texas is proud of strength, but a society's strength isn't measured by skyscrapers. It's measured by whether someone who falls can stand up again. If the safety net is torn, the fall becomes permanent. And in the middle of this, some places have turned toward punishment instead of support, using law enforcement as a substitute for housing. That choice has a cost, not only financially, but morally. Part 5. The cost of punishing survival. Across the United States, legal and policy shifts have influenced how cities respond to homelessness in public spaces. In some places, the pressure to clean up public areas leads to penalties for sleeping outdoors, even when no shelter is available. In Texas, this can become a loop with no exit. A person gets cited. They can't pay. The fine becomes debt. Debt becomes a warrant. A warrant becomes jail. Jail becomes release. Release becomes the same street, because jail doesn't create housing. And a record can make it harder to rent, harder to get hired, harder to restart. Meet the teacher story again, reimagined through the pattern many people describe. A woman who once taught kids how to read is now sleeping in a park with her small dog. The dog is not a pet in the cute sense. The dog is comfort. The dog is protection. The dog is the one living thing that still feels like family. One night she's woken by lights, questions, a citation. I didn't commit a crime, she says. I ran out of money. And the cruelest part is what happens next. That citation becomes a mark that can block opportunities, a mark that makes it harder to re-enter stable life. Policies built for order can end up doing the opposite. They create chaos for people who are already drowning. Instead of asking, why are so many people sleeping outside? We ask, how do we move them away from here? And that question reveals what a society values. Because if we value appearances more than people, we will keep pushing poverty out of sight, and we will keep pretending the problem is solved. But the crisis doesn't stay contained. It spreads. It affects schools, hospitals, neighborhoods, and public trust. And that's why this isn't just their problem. It touches everyone. Part 6. A crisis that touches us all, and what actually works. Texas is often called the heart of America. But right now, that heart is under strain. Because homelessness creates fear in communities, and fear can crowd out empathy if people don't understand what they're seeing. Some residents worry about encampments near schools. Some businesses worry about foot traffic. Some parents worry about how to explain tents to children. These concerns are real. But here's the truth. Sweeping people away doesn't remove the crisis. It just moves it. And moving it often makes it worse, because people lose their belongings, their documents, their medications, and their connection to outreach. So what actually works? First, housing pathways that move fast. When people are housed quickly and supported, outcomes improve. When a person gets a key, something changes inside them. They stop living like prey. They start living like a human being again. Carlos, a veteran, another composite based on common stories, described it like this. When they put that key in my hand, I didn't cry because life was perfect. I cried because I felt human again. Second, coordinated services. Housing alone isn't enough for everyone. People need support that's realistic. ID replacement, healthcare, case management, mental health services, addiction treatment access, job training, and help navigating bureaucracy that feels impossible when you're exhausted. Third, safe and managed transitional options. In some communities, supervised safe camping models and tiny home villages, when done with dignity, safety, sanitation, and clear pathways forward, can stabilize people quickly and reduce harm. Fourth, prevention. If Texas wants to slow homelessness, it has to stop it upstream. Emergency rental assistance, eviction prevention, mediation, short-term support that keeps families housed after a job loss, a medical emergency, or a temporary crisis. Prevention doesn't look dramatic, but it saves futures. Fifth, data and coordination, used responsibly. When shelters, hospitals, and service providers can coordinate in real time, people can be matched faster to available beds, clinics, and housing pathways. It reduces the lost in the paperwork problem, where people fall through cracks simply because systems don't talk to each other. Sixth, community power. Policy is the skeleton. Community is the heartbeat. When people show up with water, care kits, hygiene supplies, transportation help, and job opportunities, they close the gaps the system leaves open. But more important than supplies is something that sounds simple and is actually rare. Being seen, being called by name, being treated like a neighbor. Because people don't rebuild in isolation. They rebuild in relationship. And Texas cannot punish its way out of homelessness. It can only house its way out, support its way out, heal its way out. Outro, a meaningful call to action. Texas in 2025 holds two images at the same time. Bright towers glowing at night, and thousands of people sleeping under bridges, in cars, and on sidewalks. Not as a statistic, as unfinished stories. As mothers like Maria, turning a car into a mobile apartment so her kids can keep believing life will get better. As workers like James, holding on to purpose even after losing everything. As teachers, veterans, and seniors who never imagined they'd be fighting for something as basic as rest. Here's the question that matters most. If it were you, if one layoff, one illness, one disaster, 1 month without income knocked you down, how would you want society to see you? As a problem, or as a person worth helping back up? If this story moved you, don't let it end when the video ends. Do one small thing this week. Learn the shelter and outreach resources in your area. Support a local organization that helps people move from street to housing. Donate socks, water, hygiene kits, or gift cards if you can. Volunteer if you can. And if you can't do any of that right now, start with the simplest action. Refuse to become them. Refuse to look away. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? What do you think is the biggest driver of homelessness where you live? Housing costs, wages, healthcare, disasters, lack of services, or something else? Leave a comment below. Keep it respectful. Keep it human. This channel is a space for empathy and solutions, not cruelty. And if you want more stories like this, real, respectful, and focused on what actually helps, subscribe to US Homeless Secrets. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Hit like so YouTube knows these voices matter. Because silence is how crises grow. But attention, compassion, and action are how communities change. This is US Homeless Secrets. Thank you for watching. Stay with us, because the next story is already happening tonight.